Hello, hello, hello. Hello. I'm Jerry. I'm with Multimorphic. We developed something called that. It's called a P3, but we want to talk about why I'm saying now it gets fun. I've been here for a few years. We've talked about a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff you can see in the game room and a lot of stuff we've been showing off for a while, and now it's about to get really fun, and I'll show you why. Yeah, it's not playing. No audio. No audio. John, will you sing? Audio doesn't matter in pinball anyway. Is David here? We got video working. It's awesome. No one hooked up the audio. It's not. Cosmic Kart Racing. It's a game we talked about a long time ago, and now it's here. We have it on the floor. People are playing it, and it's got a ton of new features that show off more of the capabilities of this platform that we call the P3. This is our first flowy, high-speed looping design. So we're showing that P3 games can be very different from each other. We have Lexi Lightspeed, which is a little bit of stop and go. It's got the 8-ball ball locks. It's got pop bumpers. It's got scoops and things the balls fall into. This game is very different. It's got ramps and loops and things that flow the ball back to the flippers, so you can have a fast-paced game that brings to life the idea of a race. It's based around this video game style of kart racing, Mario Karts or other kart racing games that are popular in the video game platforms. This is a physical implementation of that, where we take the physical shot layouts and relate that into progressing through a race and competing against other people, whether they're real people or computer people. We have some things we've never seen before in pinball machines, like 800 RGB individually controllable lights. The whole upper playfield on this game is this massive light show where every single shot is lined with RGB LEDs. And we can use that in a number of ways. If you look at the translate on the machine, you'll see these racetracks. I don't think I have a picture of this in the slides. But the racetracks are a color, and when you're racing through the game, you'll be on a track, and that track is your color. So we can light up all the individual shots to represent your color and tell you which shots you have to hit to progress through the race. There's 2 ramps with some cool features on it. We can use them. We can use these rings that we have on the ramps, and we're going to show you a little bit closer up demo in here in a second, just giving you an overview of the feature set. But there's ramp assists on the ramp, so if you enable ramp assist, you can shoot it partially up the ramp, and the assist will grab it and help complete the ramp for you. We can do things like locking balls on the ramp itself. You can shoot a ball into the ramp will literally stop it, hold on to it, and you can shoot more into it, and basically take the idea of a physical ball lock, put that on the ramp, and turn that into a multi-ball setup. Do things like auto-staging the ramp. You can lose a ball, you have no balls on the playfield, and we can take one and magically put it on the ramp for you. So when you start your ball, there's 1, 2, or 3 balls already on the ramp. If you're in a multiplayer game, for instance, it's something we haven't developed, but it's an idea we've talked about. And there's these things called lock stealing in some games where you lock a ball, and then if it's in this physical ball lock, the next player comes up and there's already a ball in the ball lock, but that he didn't get himself. Well, in this particular game, we can unload the ramp by dropping him off the ramp, and then when the next player comes up, we can restage the balls he used to have locked. So we can take this physical ball lock and actually make it completely fair in a tournament-style setup or something like that. There's 3 loops. 2 of them, I call them blocking or catching. Every loop shot, or 2 of the loop shots, have posts that can pop up and block the shot. So somebody plays a power-up against you, and you're racing fast, and all of a sudden you get this blockade pop-up, or power-up that somebody plays. We can raise a post and block a shot. So you're aiming for a loop to get some kind of speed assist. You shoot the loop right when somebody plays a power-up, a post pops up, and it literally just blocks the shot. And we can also, on these loops, we can catch balls. You can shoot a shot around a loop, it can catch the ball, it can drop it into a scoop, or it can hold on to it for another form of a lock. There's 4 stand-up targets, there's 1 captive ball. It's a completely different layout than you've seen before in the P3. It's also a completely different playing style than you've seen in pinball before. It's race-based. So this is the physical incantation of a kart racing game. If you play a ball and you drain it in a traditional 3-ball pinball game, you're 1/3 of the way done your game, and you have 2 more balls and you play through them. In this game, you're racing. The game is based around a race, so you get to play that entire race. If the race times out, or if you lose the race, you're done. If you win the race, you get to move on. So how do drains play into that? Draining a ball in this game just simply stops you from moving forward. Your kart stops. You have to hit shots to gain speed. If you drain the ball, it stops your speed, and you got to start all over again. But if you're playing if the timer is set for 3 or 4 minutes, you can play 3 or 4 minutes, and at the end of the 3 or 4 minutes, you've either won or you haven't. If you win, you move on. You play the next one. Each next race is a different track, and we have these virtual tracks that represent your travel through space and your racing against your opponents. That's going to translate into different shot combinations. Maybe one race will be based on the loop shots. You're going around the loops. Maybe it's going to force you to alternate loops, or maybe it's going to make you shoot a ramp shot and alternate that with a loop, or any combination of shots. We can set up different races. Basically, it's similar to a mode in a traditional pinball game where you start a mode and it forces you to shoot a sequence of shots. We're doing that with races. You play the first race and pretty much everything's lit, so you can shoot anything and gain speed. The next race, it's going to be a completely different shot layout. Power-ups, kart racing game have power-ups. So you're playing the game and you hit a shot and you get this power-up thing, and this is a weapon or a shield or something that you can use against or for your opponents. A boost makes you go faster. EMP makes the opponent stop moving. Blockade raises these posts or maybe a wall target to stop you from moving. And then there's this concept of a shield, where typically if you drain the ball, you lose your speed. But if you have a shield, you drain the ball and you keep your speed. It's like the thing didn't happen. Or if you have the shield and someone plays a blockade against you, the blockade is blocked. So it doesn't happen and the posts don't pop up and you can still keep shooting and gaining speed. So also new to games that we're developing on the P3, like the heads-up game, this game works as a single player, it works on multiplayer on the same machine, and it also can be internet linked. So you can play against people either in the same room or across the world from each other. And the idea with kart racing games generally is you log on, you find three of your friends or 3 random opponents, and you race against them. You can do that on this game. We don't have it set up like this in the game room today because we want to show off the single player capabilities of it or the single machine capabilities of it. But when we ship the game, internet capabilities will be enabled. Current status, the upper playfield is done. It's production ready. We could start building and shipping production playfields today. But we're not because the software isn't done yet, the audio's not done yet. We're here demoing it to show you guys what we're doing. We're 3 to 4 months away from shipping a product. Well, from shipping this product on the platform. And with that in mind, if anyone decides to buy a P3 today or this weekend, we're offering a $500 credit towards the purchase of Cosmic Kart Racing when it comes out. So let's, can we switch over to the machine itself, and we'll do a quick demonstration of the game. No, nobody's here. It was a button she pressed on her. Where is she? Hi. Can we switch over to the camera? All right, so Cosmic Kart Racing. BJ, if you want to get close, zoom in on the upper playfield maybe. So 800 individual RGB LEDs. RGB means they can be basically any color, 16 million colors. Each one's individually controllable, and as I was saying before, we can control, or we can do lots of cool effects on the ramps and loops and things with those. The track mode is showing the race. It's showing a miniature version of the race. And as we start a game, you're presented with basically a roster where it's showing exactly who's going to be in the race. In this particular case, we're doing a multiple player game. I can add another player on the same machine. So each player will race a heat. You'll take turns doing that. One player will play a race, he'll finish his heat, and then the next player will play a race. Then it loads up the main mode. Camera moves around the track, and now it says press launch. And so what I said before about the ball being staged on the ramp, we use that to start a race. So when I press the launch button, the ball gets automatically staged onto the ramp. It gives you a countdown, and it accelerates the ball into play. So now on the upper playfield, we have a bunch of green lit shots, and we have these white moving LEDs on the ramp. And what that's showing is it's set up for ramp assist. So if I throw a ball up the ramp, let's see if I can do this, it takes it and it throws it around the thing. So if you're playing pinball and you hit half of a shot and it goes partially up the ramp and you have ramp assist enabled, it's going to grab it and throw it around the ramp for you. It's going to make the shot for you. If you don't have ramp assist enabled, of course, it's going to go halfway up the ramp and it's going to fall back down into the drain. Or ball search works. So in this particular mode, you're shooting the green shots. You can try to shoot the ramps, the loops, inner loops, outer loops. There's this thing, we just got played a blockade. One of our opponents played a blockade against us. So now if we're shooting a ramp shot, it's being blocked. If we had a shield power up, we'd play it and it would lower them. So this is the idea of the racing game. It's taking this physical shot layout that we're all familiar with in pinball and relating it to a racing game. There's this concept of power-ups that we talked about. In this particular game, we shoot the side target modules to light power-up, and then power-up is lit on this, which is a captive ball. We shoot the captive ball, it collects a power-up, it puts it into our inventory, and now it says hit the launch button to use the power-up. This particular one is a blockade, and if you look here in our little map, as soon as I activate the blockade, you'll see that, well, someone else just activated a blockade on us. Well, now it's pointless because everyone's used the blockade power-up. So now the guy on the right doesn't have a blockade on him. If I activate this, he immediately gets a blockade plate on him. There's the other power-ups which happen when you collect the power-up. This one's a shield. If I activate the shield, you'll see a glowing shield come up around my cart. And now if I have some speed, which I'll create with my hand and then drain, the speed does not go instantly to 0 because I had that shield. So software is probably about 50% complete on this. Like I said before, we're working through more modes, more features, things that happen when you hit the scoops, things that happen when you hit the targets. And that's about it. If you look back again at the race status, you'll see that the player on the right on the yellow track has finished. You got the blue track and the red track that are about to finish, and me, because I've been playing poorly with my hand, I'm only about halfway done. And that's it. You also, if you look real quickly on the apron, you're gonna see my fuel expire, and now my flippers are dead and the race is over. So I didn't qualify. I put in a 2-player game, so now it's saying player 2, prepare to race. So that's the idea of Cosmic Kart Racing. New features on the ramps, new magnetic assist, new LED styles, new ways of integrating physical gameplay with virtual ideas like kart racing game. We've taken this concept of pinball and we've morphed it into something that's wider, that's more interesting for people that like video games, for people that want some more gameplay variety and more features in their pinball games. And that's just something else that we can do and have done on the P3 platform. So we can switch back. Thanks, BJ. Thanks, that's good. Slideshow stopped. There you go. So what do I mean when I say now it gets fun? What I mean is we're making progress towards delivering the full vision that we talked about a few years ago. We have this platform design called the P3. It's got weird blue text in the middle of the screen. It's got a modular design for swapping playfield modules, physical modules, flipper assemblies, all these things that slide in and out of the machine for serviceability, for more gameplay features. We've got dynamic and interactive playfield artwork where the ball can interact with shapes and things on the screen, because we can track the position of the ball anywhere on the screen. We've got a 20-plus ball trough, where we can store any number of balls in this thing. We could have a 4-ball multi-ball, or we could have a 20-ball multi-ball. The trough itself is limited to how many balls you can fit in the machine. It's all the way up from the trough, which is the back of the machine, up through the drain to the front of the machine. It's got modular electronics based on our P-Rock system that now 5 manufacturers are using. So availability of hardware, of updating it, of adding features, of creating modules that have more features is easy because we have a modular board set that accommodates all that. If we build a playfield that has needs for 50 coils or 100 switches on it, then we can just add the boards onto that playfield to accommodate those features. And of course, the artwork and the button boxes and pretty much everything on this machine is modular. And it's modular because we're pitching a platform that someone will spend the money for a machine, the cabinet, the head, the legs, the flippers. They'll do that once, and then they can build up their game library around that platform. Status of the platform, we're in our second manufacturing run. We're continuing to fill pre-orders. In 2 to 3 months, we should be past the pre-order phase where we can start building up inventory and selling machines straight out of inventory immediately after we get orders. And we have a library of games that's growing. Our library, this first generation of games, is the things we've talked about before, which are Lexi Lightspeed, Cannon Lagoon, Rocks, Barnyard, and there's a second Lexi Lightspeed mini game. That's the first generation of games. We've been showing it for a couple of years. If you go out on the game room floor, all these are available for play. If you go into our booth and you see our array of 10 machines, all the machines are that. All the machines are the same. They're all the same cabinet, the same structure. Each one is just showing off a different application or a different playfield layout in the game. We're working on our second generation of games, most of which we've showed before. We have Grand Slam Rally, we have Wizard, and we have this heads-up concept. And we're also working with third-party developers. Actually, Grand Slam Rally was developed by a third-party developer who happens to be sitting behind the table. And we're creating this development kit. We've released early versions of it, so we're allowing and we're hoping and we're working with other people to create game content, to bring more value to owning this platform. Once you buy this platform and you buy it with 2 or 3 or 5 of these games, that's not the end of it, because we'll continue to develop content, we'll continue to work with third-party developers, and we'll continue to build up this library to make more value for the machine. So instead of me just sitting here preaching about how cool I think the platform is and what kind of game content I think we should create and how easy it is, I think it is, to work with the system. What I want to do is have Jimmy Lippum, who developed GSR, Grand Slam Rally, and has worked for some other companies in the industry with their games, and he brings a different perspective, and he can tell you about developing games for the system. So, Jimmy?
Sure. Yeah, so as Jerry was saying, I've worked for a couple of other companies. I was very familiar with the P-Rock product line and doing homebrew stuff, which is sort of how I got into it. But really, actually, it was sometime last year when Jerry gave me a call and said, hey, would you like to develop a game for the P3 and be, an early adopter there? And I obviously could not say yes quickly enough. We kind of hem-hauled around a little bit, trying to figure out effectively what we were going to do with the theme. We'll see if this latches on here in a minute. All right, cool. So we were trying to figure out effectively how this was going to work, and I'd always really, really liked the old school pitch and bat games, and I thought that would actually be a really fun one to do for the P3. And the P3, when you develop for it, there's two different concepts that you can usually adhere to when you develop a game for the platform. One of which is a mini game, which can usually be run on any playfield module. You don't actually have to have the back third there. Or the other one is a full game where you can develop custom playfield modules and things like that. And this one's a little bit of a hybrid. This one actually uses a pre-existing playfield module for the platform. There's not actually a custom one for this game. He uses the Cannon Lagoon playfield module. So that was kind of the route that we set down. I decided that it was going to be really neat to kind of do a new take on Slugfest, which was one of my favorite early WPC games, and it was going to be a great way to get my feet wet with the platform. So that was sort of kind of how it got started. And the interesting thing, though, are really the tools that you're able to actually use. Back in the day, whenever you developed games for Capcom, Williams, or whatever, it was all in 6809 assembly language, which is just very, very archaic. Whereas nowadays, we're able to design in full 3D. The P-Rock, or the P3 platform, actually is so powerful that you can actually run everything in full res 1080p with everything being graphically accelerated. So had a lot of fun with this. It's a lot better than 8K of memory. You're actually able to use tools like the Unity game engine. So you're actually able to design everything in 3D. You can go around you can actually navigate around the scene in your game. And I mean, you can literally pick up, players and just drag them around and, kind of position things however you want. It's very, very, very powerful. So I've really, really had a lot of fun working on that. And it's the same thing really with just the language. It's very simple in terms of what it takes to actually make a game. Here, obviously, we have a drain switch. So basically, we've got some stuff here that gets called when the switch fires. It's no longer 100 lines of code. So for any programmers, anyone, can step up and use free tools to do this. I didn't actually have to pay for any of the tools that I'm using in order to develop a game for the P3. So that actually speaks a little bit to the how. And one more note about the tool here. The scene on the right, which you actually see, is a full-scale emulation of the game. So I actually don't have to have a P3 in my possession to design for the platform, which actually greatly lowers the cost of development. So I can actually design the game here, and I can simulate all the switch closures and stuff using my mouse and buttons on the keyboard, which is just fantastic because you don't actually have to have a game. It's really, really been wonderful to do. So usually whatever I do here will show up on the right, and you can actually play through the game and test it out. So that's really about the tools and sort of the kind of how it got started. But also a very big thing is the why. So I run a consulting firm, 86 Pixels. We've done a lot of work in CoinOp. Got a couple of games here actually, and really and truly one of the most appealing things for the P3 is kind kind of the business aspect of it as well. It's the fact that you have near immediate distribution when you develop for this platform. There is an app store concept, so as soon as I actually develop it, package it up, and as soon as Multimorphic gives their okay and we agree on a release date, immediately anyone that has a P3 can actually download the game, can actually install the game using hardware that's already provided inside of the cabinet, as long as they've got that playfield module. So it really lowers the cost of development for us, and for the consumer, it lowers the cost of ownership, because now, guess what? You can buy Grand Slam Rally for $400. You're no longer spending $1,500 on a game. We could, there's all sorts of things we can do to roll new games out into the marketplace. And my nieces and nephews, and as well as other people that I know who have kids, they just tend to love this game because it's very, very easy to get a hold of. It's very, very easy to grasp onto, and we can quickly iterate on concepts like that. We don't have to go all the way down through a complex manufacturing process of developing a full-size traditional pinball machine in order to test out these concepts. It's really, really wonderful, and it's been really, really great. The other thing is, using these tools, there's actually a complete community of developers online, game developers, that are developing iOS games. As a matter of fact, it would not take much to convert Grand Slam Rally into an equivalent iOS game or an Android game. So immediately, you even have distribution possibilities even outside of pinball if you want to port your theme over. So it's been really, really wonderful designing for this platform. And to be honest, it's been just a heck of a ride, and I'm looking forward to doing game number 2. I can't tell you what that is, but I'm definitely looking forward to it, and it's been great. The support's been great, the community's been great, and the platform's been great. I'm done.
Jimmy is great too. Thanks, Jimmy.
No problem, Jerry.
Switch back. Let me switch the.
Oh, sorry. Yes, sir. There you
go. Okay, so the reason it gets fun now, we have this platform, we're shipping this platform, we have our first generation of games, we have our second generation of games, and we have people like Jimmy and other companies who are developing third-party content. So as we move forward, the P3 just gets better and better. It gets new features, it gets new gameplay styles, it gets new content. As we grow our budgets and we can afford big licenses, we can do the big movie themes and the big rock band themes and everything everyone likes in the pinball industry. But at the same time, we also want to do things along the lines of children's games and family-friendly things and new gameplay techniques and different types of content that you can't find today in the pinball industry. Because we want to grow the market. We want to find new fans of pinball. We want to create new fans of pinball. And the only way to do that is to take pinball and what it is today and provide more variety and more ideas and allow people like Jimmy and other talented developers, people that have ideas, people that can implement those ideas to create new content for the system. So just a quick summary of the games. Currently, Lexi Lightspeed was the first. Things like Grand Slam Rally, Wizard, and Heads Up have been the last. Cosmic Kart Racing is the newest. Full upper playfield design. And the pricing. The system itself is about $99.95. That comes with the machine and Lexi Lightspeed, the upper playfield module. And then you can add games to that. Cosmic Kart Racing is expected to be about $2,500. Cannon Lagoon is about $1,500. Mini games, things like Grand Slam Rally, Heads Up, Wizard, those kind of things are just going to be a couple $100 each. And as Jimmy said, they'll be downloadable through the application store. Today, that's through the internet, through your computer. Tomorrow, or in the future, that will be through the P3 itself. So you'll be able to just boot up your machine, navigate through the control panel, and purchase and download and install new games. Again, there's a deal going on right now. If you buy a machine this weekend, or even just put a deposit down for a machine this weekend, you'll get a $500 bonus towards the purchase of Cosmic Kart Racing, and that's it. So let's take some questions. I'm sure you have questions for me about the system or about developing games for the system. I got t-shirts for anyone who wants to stand up and ask a question, and we'll go from there. Yes. Sure.
Are there any plans to put a video screen in the back box so that as your game changes, the back box changes as well?
Are there plans for a video screen in the upper back box? The answer is emphatically yes. We have one in development. We've talked about it before. We know that when you have a screen or a playfield that has dynamic content and you don't have anything in the back box for people outside of the game to see, that it's a problem for locations. And we see an opportunity for content on the upper screen in a back box to advertise games or even advertise local community stores or restaurants or whatever. There's lots of things that can be done on a dynamic display that you can see from here instead of having to walk up to a machine and look at it. So yes, that's coming, it's in development. The challenge with that, of course, is we have to create content for it. We can't just mechanically attach a screen up there. We have to develop content. It has to look good. It has to show off things that are relevant to games or to the environment that it's in. Yes, it's all coming, and it will be integrated into our development kit so that people developing games can easily make use of that as well. The screenshot Jimmy showed you of him developing Grand Slam Rally on the Unity system, Unity makes it easy to take a graphical asset and attach it to a camera. So we can create content like the scoreboard or the race map in Cosmic Kart Racing. We can direct another virtual camera to that content in the development environment, and then that's what you'll see on the upper screen on the machine. So that system, the reason we use something like Unity to develop stuff is because it makes it easy to integrate that content and show it in a way that's useful for the people playing. So yes, absolutely. Yes.
I had a quick question for you. This is a first opportunity to see this machine down here.
Yeah.
Switching out the actual modules, what time, how long does it usually take to switch those out?
It takes us about, I don't know, you want to see it? It takes us about a minute.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That
let's
quick?
demo it. TJ?
And then what do you do? Just, are you USBing to upload the?
Yeah, we'll show you.
The new code, or not the new code?
We'll show you. So first step is turn the power off.
Yeah.
Take the lockdown bar out. Pull the playfield into service position. There's 4 connectors on the back of the playfield module. There's power, there's a serial, there's Ethernet, and there's USB. There's 2 latches on the playfield to unlatch it. And he pulls it out of the game. That's it. So that's the whole game coming out of the machine. The machine itself recognizes that module, so if you put in a different one, it would read that, and when you boot up next time, it would put in it would enable different software that you already have installed. He's cleaning out the ball trough because you can't put a playfield back in with balls in the ball trough, so he just pushed them into the collection pan. He could potentially now have a new playfield in his hand. He's dropping it in, latch it, grab the cables, plug them in. That's it. It's a whole new game. If he wanted to, he could swap out the side art and the translate. It's a choice as a user that you could do or not do. BJ's showing how the side art is magnetic, and he's showing how easy it is with one hand to pull it off of the cabinet. We'll fix that later. He's got one hand. It's hard to do it without 2 hands. Yep. There's also artwork on the apron here, right at top. Most games have apron artwork. Ours is also a magnet there as well. So if you have game-specific rules or specific content you want on your apron, you just swap out that magnet as well. So that's it. Thank you for the question. Yes, over here.
Out of all the
Hello.
modules that you've had to build so far, have there ever been any obstacles that just ended up being migraine inducing?
Say again, I'm sorry.
Extremely hard modules that y'all have built. Out of all the modules that y'all have across the board, which one has been the most migraine inducing? Like when you were designing it? Like that one has mag rings. I've looked at some of the other ones.
What was the word? Which one's been the most?
Headache inducing. Headache inducing.
Which module have we developed that's been the most migraine inducing? So it's physical pinball. If you're developing a video game, there's really nothing that can go wrong besides some code that isn't doing exactly what you want to do. In a physical pinball machine where you're designing mechanics, You might design it up, you might draw it up a certain way, and then you get it into the lab or into the shop, and you'll test these things out, and they don't work exactly how you thought they would work. So for us, things that are more mechanical are a little more difficult to or take a little bit longer to tweak and to get working. So Cosmic Kart Racing has actually been very smooth. We do a lot of cool ball effects and ball movements using magnets. We don't have a lot of complicated physical mechs that have to interact with each other and geared motors and things that have to, do some weird mechanical things. So Cosmic Kart Racing has actually been very smooth. Lexi Lightspeed is more mechanical because it's got the 8-ball physical ball lock and it's got some other things that complicate that. So it took a little bit longer to sort through the mechanical issues in something like Lexi. Cannon Lagoon is literally just 5 shot lanes and an LCD in the background, so that one was easy as well. As we move forward, we want to experiment with a lot of things. We want to do really complicated mechanical devices, and we want to do things that are like Cannon Lagoon that are very, very simple and easy to understand. So it really just depends on the complexity of the design. The Lexi has been our most complex so far. But I wouldn't say anything's been super migraine-inducing. It's fun for us. We like that. We like problem solving. We like designing. We like creating ideas and implementing them in real life. So, yeah. Yes.
And where the LCD is, the cover on it, does that have to be replaced every so often or after a while?
The playfield LCD?
Like the plastic on top of the monitor?
Oh, yes. So we have plastic writing over the screen. That plastic, TJ, you want a demo again? I got TJ delivering t-shirts and demoing machine stuff. So pull it back in service position. There's a front door on the chassis. He folds it down, and he's literally pulling out that piece of plastic. It's a rectangular piece of plastic. If it gets scratched or scuffed or whatever, you can take it out and buff it or clean it, or just go to your local plastic store, get the right dimension rectangular sheet, slide it back in. The truth is, even on the early prototypes, that some of which we have in the game room, we've never changed the plastic, and some of them are very scratched up because we've dragged mechanical things as we've tested new assemblies. But the bright lights of the LCD underneath them kind of make them disappear when you're playing the game. So yes, it's easy to replace, but you probably won't have to. We've had some of our prototypes for 4 or 5 years and never replaced it. Did you get a shirt? You need a shirt. For anyone who's getting a shirt, I'm just kind of giving out a placeholder shirt. Come by our booth later and we can swap out for whatever size you want. Yes.
The biggest concern I have is cost.
Yes.
And with other games, if I get it and I don't like it, I can resell it. With the titles, especially the ones that are like you buy and download, are they resellable?
So everything's resellable, of course, but that depends on us having enough people that own P3 machines so that you have a target one to sell that to. Things with physical modules, it's a difficult question to answer right now because we're starting up and we're starting to grow our customer base, and that base isn't there quite yet. So it's people that are passionate about the product and people that are interested in the technology and want to experience the gameplay variety, and people who come to shows and play it and see the value in the games. We never recommend to anyone really to buy a game that you haven't seen or touched or played, and that happens with a lot of manufacturers, but that's not realistic sometimes. So can't really answer the question about the physical modules, but the software modules, we intend to offer trial periods where you download a game, you play it for free for a couple days, or you can hit the start button 10 times before it turns off or something like that, so you can try it before you decide if you want to put all the money down and buy it. More questions?
One more.
One more question. That's good because we have one more t-shirt.
How long does it take to do the programming for the games?
TJ, you want to demo programming a game? That wasn't as funny as I thought it would be. It depends on the complexity of the game. So a game like a barnyard game where you have barnyard animals moving across the screen, you can get somebody to provide you an image of an animal, and you can write a line of code that says move it from the right to the left, and if the ball collides with it, make it spin around or something. And that you can do very quickly. But pinball has a whole different variety of complexities of games. So you can have a game like Cosmic Kart Racing, which is very complex, and there's lots of rules, and If you hit this shot, this could happen. But if you hit the shot later, something else can happen. So it's a great question. You can download this Unity game engine and start playing around with it. They have tutorials. They can show you how to develop simple games or complex games. They can teach you how to move around graphics. They can teach you how to play music and sounds and all those things, and you can get more comfortable. An expert level designer who's designing a game like Barnyard could do it in a week. A beginner programmer who's doing Barnyard, it might take them 6 months. So it's also based on your experience levels and your interest levels and what you're good at. You might be good at developing graphics and not code, or you might be good at code and not graphics, and working out those things. But like everything, you try it, you get used to it, you learn about it, and then things get quicker. All right, well, thank you all for coming. Should I see Charlie back there? He is next.